Even though it is not the flagship processor offered by AMD, its Ryzen 7 5800X is still one of the best all-rounder options out there. Whether you need a CPU for gaming, video editing, 3D design, streaming, rendering, or anything else, this CPU can easily handle it. Not only does it offer pretty high clock speeds, but it also happens to be an octa-core processor. Although, this also means that for using this powerful CPU, you will also need a powerful motherboard to use along with it. In this video, we've compiled a list of the top 5 best motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X. So let's get started. Number 5. ASUS ROG Strix B550F Gaming, Wi-Fi 6. ASUS also offers mid-tier motherboard options under its ROG lineup of computer components, which offers very similar performance and features to more expensive ASUS ROG motherboards, making it perfect for the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X. The ASUS ROG Strix B550F gaming motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X is most probably the best performing mid-tier motherboard that you can find out there for using with AMD Ryzen processors. Since this is a mid-tier motherboard, it uses the AMD B550 motherboard chipset along with the AMD AM4 CPU socket. Because of its given motherboard chipset, it does not need any chipset cooling fans, making it completely silent. Another benefit of this given CPU socket and motherboard chipset is that this ASUS motherboard works perfectly with AMD 3rd Gen 5000 series and AMD 2nd Gen 3000 series processors. Moving to the connectivity options of this motherboard, it uses the full-size ATX form factor. As a result, you get a total of 4 memory slots with it, which can be used to install up to 128 GB of memory. This memory can be used at up to 4400 MHz speeds, which is quite good for most. Number 4. ASUS ROG Strix X570E Gaming ATX Motherboard. You can also consider ASUS and its ROG lineup of motherboard options if you do not have any budget restrictions and want something which offers excellent performance along with handy connectivity options for the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X processor. ASUS ROG Strix X570E gaming motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X happens to be the most expensive option given here, which is to be expected considering its superb overclocking support and features, as you will see down below. Starting with the form factor of this motherboard, you will be glad to know that it is a full-size ATX motherboard. Being such a premium AMD motherboard, it uses the AMD AM4 CPU socket along with the AMD X570 motherboard chipset for proper CPU compatibility and features. Just like all other AMD X570 motherboards, this one also offers a cooling fan for its motherboard chipset. Another similarity between this and other AMD X570 motherboards is that this ASUS one also supports AMD 3rd Gen 5000 series and AMD 2nd Gen 3000 series processors. This ASUS motherboard also offers pretty great memory support thanks to its 4 memory slots. These memory slots can be used to install up to 128 GB of memory that can run at up to 4400 MHz speeds. Similar to the previous MSI motherboard, this high-end board also features 5 PCIe expansion slots, which include 3x16 expansion slots for all your expansion needs. Number 3. MSI MEG X570 Unify Motherboard. MSI also offers high-end and premium motherboard options for those who want the absolute best motherboard option for using along with their AMD Ryzen 7 5800X processor while having amazing overclocking performance and connectivity options. The MSI MEG X570 Unify motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X is the best option given in this listicle if you wish to overclock your AMD Ryzen 7 5800X processor and want a high-performance motherboard for the same. In order to offer all the connectivity options that you can want, this MSI motherboard features a full-size ATX form factor. As you would expect from a high-end motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X, it uses the AMD AM4 CPU socket paired along with the AMD X570 motherboard chipset. With these, this MSI motherboard not only works with the Ryzen 7 5800X but also supports other AMD 3rd Gen 5000 series and AMD 2nd Gen 3000 series processors. Number 2. Gigabyte X570 AORUS Elite Gaming Motherboard. Gigabyte is another brand of computer components that you should consider if you are looking for high performance and versatile motherboards for your next computer build if you wish to use the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X processor. This Gigabyte X570 AORUS Elite motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X is present in the third position in this article because it offers almost all the features and options that you could want from a motherboard. For making this motherboard highly versatile in terms of connectivity options, this motherboard uses a full-size ATX form factor. You will also find the AMD AM4 CPU socket as well as the AMD X570 motherboard chipset with this Gigabyte motherboard. As a result, you can use this motherboard with AMD 3rd Gen 5000 series and AMD 2nd Gen 3000 series processors. Because this motherboard has the high-end AMD X570 motherboard chipset, it even uses a cooling for the chipset itself. Right above the motherboard chipset you will also find a total of 4 memory slots that can be used to install up to 128 GB of memory. Apart from supporting a high-capacity memory kit, this motherboard can also be used for up to 4733 MHz memory speeds, which is quite good for most users. Although one area where this motherboard does fall a bit short of features is its expansion slots, since you only get 4 of them, which includes only one X16 expansion slot. Thankfully, you still get pretty great storage options with this motherboard, which includes both bulk storage and high-speed storage options. To be exact, you will find 6x SATA ports along with 2x NVMe M.2 slots with this Gigabyte motherboard. Number 1. MSI MPG X570 Gaming Plus Motherboard. MSI is one of the best options out there if you are looking for computer components that offer good performance along with handy features, which is also true for its motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X given here, which can be a great entry-level option. The MSI MPG X570 Gaming Plus motherboard for Ryzen 7 5800X is present in the first position in this list since this is the cheapest option given, which still offers a high-end motherboard chipset. To make the same possible, this MSI motherboard uses the full-size ATX form factor, which allows it to offer various connectivity options. As for its high-end motherboard chipset, it uses the AMD X570 motherboard chipset. And to ensure proper performance with this motherboard chipset, it offers an inbuilt cooling fan for the chipset. Coming to the compatibility of this motherboard, it uses the AMD AM4 CPU socket. With the given CPU socket and motherboard chipset, this motherboard is compatible with the AMD 3rd Gen 5000 series and 2000 series processors. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you like this unbiased review. And please don't forget to subscribe us to get the news of upcoming reviews. Stay tuned.
Fuck her